audience a question here. How many of you feel that sex offenders, that you have the right to know if a sex offender is moving into your neighborhood, and we should have laws that give you that right? Raise your hands for me. A lot of you. Okay, why do you think so?
Simply because I would like to know if there's one living next door to me. I have 2 teenage girls now, they are, and I'm a single parent. I work, and I'd like to know if my kids are affiliated with that type of individual.
Okay, you had a comment for Wilfred.
Yeah, my comment was, I'm unsure that I'm a single parent and any other parent or anybody that has children would gladly pay to have your ad put in the paper for you if you couldn't raise the money, or if any other offender could not raise that money, we would certainly pay for it.
Okay. Debbie, let me ask you. You're a parent whose little boy was, how old was your little boy when he was molested?
He was 8 years old.
8 years old. And this is astounding. You should know that the man who molested Debbie's son lives 5 blocks. He's moved back into the neighborhood, and he lives 5 blocks away from her. And you see him all the time.
Yes, I do, Shirley.
And your little boy sees him all the time.
Yes, he does.
And your husband?
And my husband.
You know, what's that like for you, Debbie?
It's very hard. There's a lot of anger, but I do know where he lives. And because I know where he lives, I can keep an eye on him and watch for him to be not with other children, so they won't have to live through what my son had to live through.
Do other people in the neighborhood know that he's a sex offender?
No, they don't.
Why is that? Aren't you allowed to tell them?
No, I'm not.
Why not?
Well, it would be considered harassment. When it went through the legal system and he done his time, I am not supposed to bother him, and he is not supposed to bother me or my family.
What do you think about this law, the one that they passed in the state of Louisiana?
I want it here. We need it here. The police cannot watch these people 24 hours a day. And from my community, I know they don't. These people get out, they do their little bit of time, but no one is watching to see if they're with children.
How much time did the man who molested your son get?
He got 66 days for molesting 3 little boys. He spent a quarter of that time, and he put in for early release, and he got it.
Hi, my question's for the lawyer. I'd like to know if you don't think it's appropriate to have the names and everything in the paper, what your suggestion is, because this happened in my apartment building, a repeat offender, and no one knew. He was part of the family committee. We lived right across the street from a public school. It's all family in there. He was part of, like I said, the family committee. He participated in everything. He was a paper boy until this happened, you know, and now he's in jail for 2 years.
Karen?
I don't think that putting names in the paper is the appropriate solution, but that's not to say that we can't have any solutions. And I'm aware of at least some new legislation that has been passed that might appease some people's concerns, because certainly sexual offenses, particularly as against young people, is upsetting to all of us. And I don't want to see it happen. But I just don't think that this is the appropriate solution. In British Columbia, Saskatchewan, they are setting up a situation whereby sex offenders or alleged sex offenders, when they're on bail, can wear bracelets on them. We might well want to think about doing that when they're on probation, that is after they've been found guilty and finished serving their time. Do that for a period of time so that they can successfully reintegrate and people can keep a watch on them. There's a new offense that's been put into the criminal code, or whereby you can bring an application before a judge if you think that there's a person in your community that is potentially going to offend against children or do sex crimes, and you can get sort of a peace bond as against them, and there's a judicial determination made, but there's got to be some type of finding, and you still have to apply due process of law to these people, because if we simply start doing the Louisiana approach, as I say, you're overshooting. You know, we see a problem, but why deal with it in an inappropriate way? It will only set us up for dealing with other problems in inappropriate ways.
Besides robbing a child of their life, I think the worst thing that you can do besides that is to rob a child of their innocence and their childhood. And that's what sex molesters and child molesters do. And I'm sorry. I think you throw the book at them.
And if that means telling the next-door neighbors and everybody within a mile or 3 miles...
Neon signs if necessary, whatever it takes.
But then you get up...
Put an X on their forehead.
You end up getting the guy's house torched in Seattle. You know, that's vigilante justice. Where does that take us?
All
We
right.
have to protect our children.
Listen, you can figure out how to get a human being in a test tube. You can make a machine to throw a chicken in there, and then it'll come out already cooked on the other end. But you got to tell me you can't figure out how to take care of one of these pedophiles without hanging a sign on them? There's got to be a better way than that.
Well, there is. It's called keeping them locked up forever.
That's right.
Exactly.
At $40,000 to $50,000 a year it costs to keep a federal inmate in.
Bargaining.
Well, that's
right, and this is where
That's
I
why
know
they're
this
not
lady
keeping them
from.
locked up, is because it costs too much money to keep them in the penitentiary. This way, when you let them out, they are then responsible for their lives, and whatever takes place thereupon after.
Do you
They're
think, let me
responsible
ask you this question just before we go to the break, and you can think about it during the break. Do you think that if they know that when they come out, they're going to have to do this, let everybody in the neighborhood know, no matter where they live, do you think that in some way that it might prevent them from committing these kinds of crimes? Think about it a little more? All right, lots of, you don't think so? Well,
I don't think so at all.
No,
I mean,
because there's no treatment for them. They do not respond to it is an illness, and it's like you really can't. It's like an alcoholic can take and abuse, but a sex offender can't. There is nothing to prevent them from doing what
there is
they
actually that's something that has been done in some states, in the state of Texas, castration. Yeah,
sure, that's the answer.